Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on this Brave Thinking Masterclass. Today, we're going to really delve into the power of vision and how we can really tap into all of that power to bring our dreams into reality. My name is Dawn Huffy. I am the owner of Liberty Belle Coaching, and my life coaching certifications came through the Brave Thinking Institute, hence the name Brave Thinking Masterclass. We learn how to think in brave ways. Yes, we do. So you made the decision to join me in this masterclass, and it is my intention that you leave here today knowing 3 tools that can help you achieve your goals and dreams even faster than you ever imagined. I'd like you to have greater clarity on what those dreams are and to feel even more confident in your ability to get those dreams to come to fruition. Now, in order to do this, I'll share a story, and I'm going to share my screen so we can do a PowerPoint along with this. Let's see, maybe I have to go. Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay, great. So, Power Vision Masterclass. Waiting for my computer to advance us to the next screen. So sorry for the delay. If I click it, it'll go. There we go. Now for the story. A mother mouse was leading her 3 children through a house when all of a sudden they came around the corner and saw a cat. The cat was about to attack, and the mother mouse said in a very loud voice, "Ruff, ruff, ruff," and the cat ran away. The mother mouse turned to her babies and said, "That is the power of learning more than one language." We're going to go with that moral of the story, and we're going to learn a new language today. It's called the language of success. Why this story matters to you is because today we're going to be looking at the language of success. And also, we will gain an understanding that there is a pattern, a system, a way of doing things that creates the results that you want. Once you consciously understand what the language is and start to apply it in your life, you will see results. And this is what the Dream Builder program is all about. That's the program that I coach my clients in. It's one of 5 programs I offer. And so we're going to be talking about the language of success. Do you have an area of your life that you'd like to improve? Most of us do. Yes. We want to just keep growing and learning and advancing. And so there generally is an area of our life that we would like to get more improvement in. Now, we have so much capability inside of us that we really haven't tapped into yet. And the Dream Builder program really helps us figure out and apply tapping into all of our wonderful capability. Again, my intention today is to give you 3 tools to help you achieve your goals, gain greater clarity on your goals and dreams, and finally, to feel even more confident in your ability. I know that you probably achieved a goal or a dream at some time in your life. And maybe when you had that dream, you thought, I just don't know how I'm going to do it, but you did it anyway. This proves a point that we are capable of far more than we recognize. Let's take a minute and ask ourselves, what challenge is going on in my life right now? When we have a challenge, it's an opportunity to really delve in and see some of the patterns that are going on and our responses to our circumstances. So, what area of your life are you seeing a big challenge? Maybe it's in your health. Maybe you just don't feel as vibrant and vital as you would like to. Maybe it's in a relationship. It might be your vocation. Things aren't just working out like you had hoped, or it could be in the financial realm. We run into challenges. This is what happens with life on earth. We have challenges, we have problems, we have issues, we have circumstances. Yes, we do. We live in a universe that speaks our dreams and goals to us through two signals. The first signal is our longing. We long for something that we don't have. So instead of getting into feeling sorry for yourself, oh, I'm longing for that and I don't have it. No, let's turn around and look at this in a different way. Our longing, we just want to say, oh, I'm longing for that house that I love, and focus on this is telling me that I am desiring to grow. Don't get into a pity party over it. Just recognize it as a signal for your growth. The second signal is discontent. Maybe you are absolutely feeling discontent with a certain relationship that you're in. You want it to go smoothly. You want it to have more peace. And so the discontent is a signal for you to maybe learn some new skills, maybe have an open, honest conversation. It could mean a lot of different things, but what we really want to focus on with this slide is that there are two signals that cause us to grow: longing and discontent. And instead of whining and crying about our longing and discontent, we're just going to shift it and say, okay, I'm feeling really discontent in this area. How can I make it change? You can be pushed by pain and you can be pulled by a vision. Now, being pushed by pain is not as much fun at all. No, it isn't. But when you're pulled by a vision, this can be very exhilarating and fun and thrilling. And so this is what we do in the Dream Builder program. We create a vision and then we get pulled towards the vision until we are actually living out our vision. Next, I want to share with you my story. I actually was caught up in the pain and had to make a change. I knew I was discontent in this area of my life, but I didn't do anything about it. But our Heavenly Father has a way of making things come into a culmination of where we have to make a change. And that's where I found myself. So as some of you might know, in the fall of 2020, I was feeling so frustrated at all of the restrictions and requirements at my job in the private school where I worked. We all remember all of the horrendous mandates and, controlling stuff that was going on. And I wasn't going to have anything to do with any of that. But my school where I worked was demanding that I do it. I felt terrible about the things that they wanted me to comply with. I knew if I did comply that I would be so unhappy with myself. Going against my values never works out for me. It ends up being a disaster. And I've been through enough disasters when I didn't follow what I really knew in my heart, what was best for me, that this time I stood my ground. And on our final day of in-service, when the new restrictions were delivered, I made a decision. I decided that my job was coming to an end on that day. No notice. No, I quit that day. That decision was very scary for me since I had no other job in mind at the time. It wasn't convenient and it wasn't comfortable making that decision, but the alternative was just not acceptable to me. I was pushed by the pain of my situation to make a change. Within a month of leaving that job, I discovered a life coach named Mary Morrissey. I actually just got a random email from her and I opened it, and she was offering an 8-week class. And I thought to myself, you know what? Things are not the way I really want them in my life. I need some help. I need some guidance. So I bought that 8-week program. I found that that program was starting to change my life. And so then I bought another program, and that was even more support from my coach. The next step came a few months later when I was presented with Mary's life coaching program. I knew that I wanted to take that step. I had really wanted to be a coach probably 4 to 5 years before that. It had started, you know, bubbling up in me that I really wanted to be a coach. I took another training. I didn't finish it. There was really no support with that. It was just an online training, and I didn't finish it. But with Mary's coaching program, there was so much support. And so I definitely completed that program. Now, one reason I like teaching is because when I teach the principles, it keeps me immersed in the principles that I've learned. I did this when I was a parent educator. I didn't really know how to discipline my kids with their misbehavior other than the way I was raised, and I didn't want to do that. And so I went and took a parenting class, and then I thought, I need to learn how to teach this stuff. And so I went through trainings, and so I was a parent educator for, I think, 7 years. And it kept me immersed in my parenting skills while I was raising my kids. And so I just really love teaching the principles because it keeps me grounded and rooted in using the principles myself. Now, I love being a coach. It's so rewarding, and it's just right where I'm supposed to be. Now, let's talk about you. What's your next big dream? Imagine how you will feel when your dream becomes a reality. In the Dream Builder program, there are 10 principles that will skyrocket your success when you apply them in your life. Today, you're going to learn 3 of these principles, and I'm going to give you enough information that you can start to use these principles today. When you enroll in the Dream Builder program, we will definitely go into these 3 key principles I'm sharing with you today at a deeper level, but today you'll definitely get enough that will make a huge shift in your life. Here is my promise to you. I will give you the best I can in the time we have together, and at the end of this presentation, many of you will want to take this further and integrate it into your life. And I have a special gift that I'm going to give you at the end of the presentation, and I think you'll love it. We are always creating results in our lives, or we could say we're always creating experiences. We are creating results in 2 different ways. The first way is by default. Now, I stay in the principles with Mary Morrissey. I do her morning mentoring videos 5 days a week, and then once a week I do an hour training. And so she was talking about this very thing this week, default. And what does it mean to live your life out of default? It means that we are absolutely just acting out and speaking in the same way that we always have. We are living out a pattern or many patterns. So it can look like this. You're choosing thoughts that you've already thought. You're thinking the same thoughts you thought yesterday. They might be negative. If they're positive, that's good. But generally, these patterns that are running on default are negative patterns. So maybe you're berating yourself, beating yourself up, you're being kind of hard on yourself. So you're choosing the thoughts that you already thought yesterday. That's living by default. Another example would be choosing what you've already chosen. I can relate to this because I like familiarity, so I like to go to the same gas station. I don't really like to venture out and go to a different gas station. So I'm choosing what I've already chosen. If I want to see different people and have different experiences, it'd be a good idea to go to a different gas station. So that's just a simple example of that. Another example is choosing beliefs you already believe. So maybe you believe that you're not good enough, and you keep believing that belief over and over again and don't challenge it and don't change it. Choosing what you've already done. So maybe you handle certain situations in certain ways and you keep doing it over and over again, even though you might be getting a negative result. So this is living life by default. The other way that we create results is by design. And this is what we do in the Dream Builder program. We design a life by creating a vision. And in a few minutes, I'm going to help you craft a vision for one area in your life. Now, let's learn to expand your awareness for success in the areas of life that matter to you. So we're going to look at the 4 domains, and the first is in our health and well-being. The second is love and relationships. The third is vocation, and the fourth one is time and money freedom. Everybody has results in all 4 of these areas. The results that you are getting in your life in these areas are a perfect reflection of your awareness in these areas. We may not even be aware of the patterns running and the beliefs that are in our subconscious mind that are creating limitations on our time and money freedom. So we want to expand our awareness and find some of those beliefs and get rid of them so that we can come into more abundance. Now, I want to talk about the results formula. This is a very, very important factor to learn and understand. So we first have thoughts in our mind. We think thoughts all day long. We can't stop thinking thoughts. It's just the way our mind works. We think thoughts. Our thoughts cause us to have certain feelings. Our feelings propel us to take actions, and when we take an action, we get a result. Now, there's another level that is not in this results formula, and I want to talk about that. This I learned about in 2022 when I took the Compassion Key training, and I used this modality in my coaching. It's so phenomenally good to get at the wounds that we have experienced in our past. And from those wounds, we set up patterns. So those wounds and patterns are underneath our thoughts. And actually, a lot of our thoughts come from the wounding and come from the patterning. This is a very key layer that we need to take a look at, because a lot of those thoughts that we're thinking are coming from these detrimental patterns. Let's think a thought and see what happens. So think the thought, oh, I lost my wallet. How does that make you feel? If you're like me, you feel panicked, you feel worried, you feel like really fretting over it. And So that might cause you to do certain actions. Maybe you're running all over your house looking for your wallet. Maybe you're calling people. And so that'll get you some results. You may just get yourself all exhausted because you're searching fervently for your wallet. Now, let's think a different thought. Think the thought, oh, that's right. My wallet is in my coat pocket. How are you feeling now? Probably you're feeling relieved, grateful. The actions, you might say a prayer to your Heavenly Father, thank you so much for letting me realize that it is in my coat pocket and I just could relax about this whole thing. And the results is, you just have a more peaceful day. Excuse me. So our thoughts are in charge of our results. And our results never lie. So if you really want to know what you've been thinking, look at your results. If you want to know what your patterns are, look at your results. If I'm having a certain circumstance repeat, I know that I've got a pattern running that's causing these circumstances to come to me, because the patterns will set up your experiences. So if you really want to change your circumstances, we have to start changing our patterns, which will help us to change our thoughts. And we also need to learn new thoughts, not damaging thoughts. And be diligent about, recognizing that, I'm thinking bad thoughts about myself. And I'll get into that in a little more detail in a little bit. Oh, actually, right now, here it is. So if you want to create new results in your life, then you must begin by learning and adapting new tools. And we are going to learn 3 tools today. And the first one is right here. Notice what you're noticing. Let's do a little exercise. I invite you to just play along with me in this exercise. Just notice right now your feet on the floor. Now notice your calves. Next, notice your knees. And notice your thighs and your hips. And now your stomach area, notice that. And move up to your chest and your breathing. Notice all that. Now go to your throat. Notice what you're noticing there. And lastly, notice what you're noticing in your mind. What thoughts are you thinking? This is where we really want to use this brave thinking tool number 1. Notice what you're noticing. We want to notice the thoughts that we're thinking. I remember decades ago, I took a class and I was not even aware of the thoughts that were going through my mind. And in that class, I started to become aware of the thoughts that I was thinking. They were really, really horrible thoughts about myself. And they were just running on automatic. And I wasn't even knowing that I was thinking them. So this is how we're going to raise our level of awareness. Taking that class got me to a level of awareness of how badly I was talking to myself. So this is brave thinking tool number 1. Notice what you're noticing. We are going to do a life assessment. And for this, you will need some paper and something to write with. You might be a person who doesn't know what your dream is. You just know there's something more out there for you. Or maybe you have lots of dreams and you don't know whether to choose one or create them all at once. Every one of us has a dream inside of us somewhere. So we're going to notice our current results by using our brave thinking tool number 1. Notice what you're noticing. And we're going to start with our health and well-being area. You might be a person who feels stuck in your ability to transform your health. Maybe you have relatively good health. You don't really have any symptoms, but you know that there's more vibrancy and aliveness that you could feel because you had that vibrancy maybe, quite a few years ago. And you remember that vibrancy, but it's disappeared. Okay, so here we go with this exercise. I'm going to give you 1 minute and I'm going to have you write down 1 or 2 things that you're noticing about your health and well-being. So I'm going to time us so we stay on track. So go ahead and write. There are 15 seconds left. Okay, time is up. Next, I'm going to invite you to rate yourself on your health and well-being. Give yourself a rating from 1 to 5. 5 being you are feeling fantastic. You're just, living life with all the vibrancy that you could hope for. And if you're not, if you are really struggling with your health, give yourself, a 1, 2, 3, wherever you are. So just take a couple seconds and write down a number. Okay, great. Next, we're going to go to love and relationships. You might be a person who longs to have a beautiful, deep, fun, and passionate relationship with a loving and caring partner. Or maybe you would love to deepen, expand, and have more fun with the relationship that you're already in. So let's take 1 minute and write down 1 or 2 things about this area. I'm going to ask you to choose one relationship. It might be with your spouse, maybe it's a parent, a child, a friend, whoever. Just pick one relationship and write down 1 or 2 things that you're noticing about that. Ready, go. Oh, okay, we're almost out of time. Okay, time is up. Now, give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 5 in this relationship of where you're at. 5, you're just, really happy and pleased with how it's going. And, lower numbers if there's contention and discomfort in it. Okay, moving on to the next area, which is our vocation or how we express ourselves in the world. You might be a person who feels stuck in a job you don't like, just like I was. There were some things I liked about it, but there were a lot of negative things in it. Or maybe you like your work, but you work too many hours and you want more time freedom. So take 1 minute and write down one or two things that you're noticing in your vocation area. Ready, go. There are 15 seconds left. Okay, time is up. And give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. And now we'll move on to our last area, which is time and money freedom. You might be a person who feels out of balance, like you have more time than money or more money than time, and you'd love to live and feel more harmony. So take 1 minute and write down one or two things you're noticing in this area. Ready, go. There are 15 seconds left. Okay, time is up. And now give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 5, where you feel you're at in your time and money freedom quadrant. Okay. Well, I really want to commend you for doing this exercise. A lot of times when we have things that we don't like in our life, we don't want to look at them. We set them off to the side. It's easier to cope with them when we don't pay attention to them. But today, I really asked you to delve in and look at things in a different way and just state them out. In order to change something, we really have to embrace what it is that's not working so that we can find new solutions. So good job. So we assessed all those areas. And we're actually going to use some of that in a little bit. So, but first, let's go on to talk about key number 1. This is the first principle of dream building, and it is designing your dream. I want to share some quotes with you about dreaming and visioning. The first quote comes from the Dalai Lama, and he said, "In order to carry a positive action, we develop here a positive vision." In the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 18, it says, "Where there is no vision, people perish." This is how important and imperative it is to have a vision, because without it, you perish. We don't want that. People with goals succeed because they know where they are going. And that was by Earl Nightingale. And I found out that Earl Nightingale was Bob Proctor's mentor. And many people are familiar with Bob Proctor. He and my coach, Mary Morrissey, were very, very close friends. And actually, when Mary would be gone sometimes for her weekly coaching training, Bob Proctor would fill in. So I actually got to be coached by the famous Bob Proctor, which was amazing. C.S. Lewis said, "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." Every great dream begins with a dreamer by Harriet Tubman. And finally, Eleanor Roosevelt said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And I really wanted to emphasize the word believe, because we have dreams, but if we don't believe in them, it's going to be a tough road to get the dream to come into reality. We really need to believe that we can achieve our dreams. So what do you want? What would you love for your life? What vision would you love? Clarity is power. Without a clearly defined blueprint, you cannot build your dream. Just like you must have a clear blueprint if you want to build a house. The same is true for your dream. When you become clear on what it is you really want in life, you begin to see opportunities, circumstances, resources that you would have otherwise missed. This is so much fun when we're dream building, because we do start to open up our awareness and see opportunities that may have been there, but we just didn't notice them. So let's design the blueprint for your dream, and let's make it crystal clear. Consider the 4 domains of your life that we just went through: the health and well-being area, your love and relationships, your vocation, and your time and money freedom. For our purposes today, I'm asking you to choose one of these areas that you would like to improve the most. We are going to do another exercise, so you'll need paper and something to write with again. Before we get to that exercise, I want to talk about this statement: the quality of our life is determined by the questions that we ask. And we want to ask empowering questions. So, brave thinking tool number 2 is to ask yourself this question: what would I love? So many of us have gotten into these patterns of asking other people, what do you think I should do? We don't want to hand our power over of what we would love to someone else. They don't really know what we would love. We know what we would love. Deep down inside, we know what we would love. Maybe it's not apparent to you right now, but as you go through some of these exercises and these processes, and if you choose to coach with me, you are going to really tap into that core of you, and you will know without a doubt what it is that you love. Now, imagine like you did when you were a child, where nothing was impossible. No dream was out of reach. Notice that this question of what would I love is very different to the question, what do I think I can do? This is what Mary is talking about when she's talking about the quality of our questions. If we're asking the question, well, what do I think I can do? This is placing limits on us. We're just drawing from our history. So maybe you think, well, I've never done it in the past. I don't think I can do it in the future. That's just limiting you. So we don't want to ask the question, what do I think I can do? We want to come back to, what would I love? We also don't want to ask this question, what does my current situation say that I can do? There are all kinds of limitations in our circumstances. That's why we're having the circumstances we are, because we're living out our limitations. We want to get beyond the limitations and go back to this question, what would I love? Not what does my bank account say I can do? What do my friends say that I can do? We don't want to be asking other people what do you think I should do? We don't want to do that. Don't go there. Now, I want to caution you about starting your questions with the words why and when. When we start our questions with these two words, it brings us into whining and complaining. For example, why isn't my dream coming true? Why hasn't it happened for me yet? This is just getting us into whining. Okay, so we don't want to do that. And when questions, when is it going to happen? You know, you're almost demanding, like, when is it going to happen? It hasn't happened yet. This whining and complaining does not serve us. It keeps us in victimhood. It keeps us blaming other people. It keeps us stuck. These are questions that cause us to whine and complain. And the whining and complaining is the language of the devil. He wants us down, discouraged, and depressed because we can't get what we would love. We have to be able to think different thoughts and shift ourselves into a higher vibration thought. And the one that I'm sharing with you today is Brave Thinking tool number 2. What would I love? It's a question. What would I love? You might think, oh, Dawn, that's just so ridiculous. I don't even think that's going to work. But open up to the possibility that it will work, that it will change, that it will bring about different results. Now for the exercise, I'm going to take you through something called the time machine. Imagine you are getting into a time machine and traveling 3 years into the future. And 3 years from now, everything you wanted completely worked out. This is where we're going to start to vision in that one area of your life. So we're going to tap into what you would love in that area. And I want you to write this. You might want a fresh piece of paper because this is actually going to be your mini vision. We're going to do a mini vision. If you work with me, we'll expand it to all 4 areas of your life, all 4 quadrants. But for now, we're choosing one. And we'll start our vision with this phrase. I am so happy and grateful now that. You'll notice that it's in present tense. We're putting emotion into it because we're happy and grateful. So go ahead and write that out. Okay, thank you for doing that. In a moment, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write down what you would love in this area of your life. Suspend any urge to figure out how this result is going to happen right now. Your mind might want to go to, I don't know how that's going to work. We're not going there. We're just setting how off to the side. We're just writing out a vision of what you would love in this area of your life. So simply write out what you would love as if someone gave you the power to create exactly what you wanted. Now, I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and breathe out slowly through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw. Again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. This type of breathing slows down our thinking. It also relaxes our nervous system so that we can get into the creative side of our brain. And you can use this breathing technique throughout your day. Now, consider what you would love for your life. What great things are occurring for you? If you could not fail, what experiences are you having? Who are you with? See it. How does it feel? Now, open your eyes and take 2 minutes and write as much as you can, painting a beautiful picture of the life you are imagining. Ready, go. There are 15 seconds left. Okay, time is up. So at the end of this vision, I'm going to invite you to add this phrase, this or something even better still. So go ahead and write that out. Now, there is a very good reason that we put this at the end of our vision. We want to stay open to the possibility that there's something even better out there that we aren't aware of right now. This beginning vision that you have just crafted is a changeable document. We can go in and revise it and change it. I have several times. And so we just want to know that we're telling our Heavenly Father, yes, this is my vision for what I would love today, but I'm leaving it open because you might have something even better for me that I can't see right now. We are on our way. So designing a life you would love is the first step. Now, remember, great dream builders are willing to suspend the need to know how it's all going to work out, how it's all going to come. We just put it off to the side. So we can check off key number 1. So moving on to key number 2, which is deciding for your dream. Best-selling author and life coach Bob Proctor said this: there is a simple mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter, and it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this mental activity, and it is called decision. Remember, I talked about this earlier with Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, you must make a firm decision for what it is you want before you will bring your dream into reality. You must decide for new results. Making this decision is actually an action step that we can take to get us out of our old results. Wonderful. Okay, next I have a story for you about Judy. Judy enrolled in the Dream Builder program and it changed her life. Judy did not have much education. She worked in a fast food restaurant during the day and did alterations as a seamstress at night. She lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment with her 2 children. Her dream was to have a home for her family. Judy came across the Dream Builder program that I'm talking about today. She decided that if she was ever going to change her life, that she needed support. So she took a huge leap and made a decision for her dream, and she enrolled in the Dream Builder program. This was a tough thing to do, but she got up her courage and she made a decision to make a change in her life. She told her coach that her dream was to own her own home, but she only had $500 a month for rent. She believed that there was no way she could ever buy a house for that amount or even rent a house for that amount. Her coach asked her to describe the house that she dreamed of, but Judy had great difficulty doing that. Oftentimes, we have forgotten how to dream, and so this was the case with Judy. But even though it was a struggle, eventually Judy did come up with a description of her dream house. Even though it took her some time, she delved in and figured it out. Now, knowing how dreams can come true, Judy's coach said to Judy, Now that you have a mental picture of the house, go out and look for it. Judy thought that was crazy, but her coach encouraged her to look anyway. After 2 weeks, Judy called her coach and she was so happy. She said, I found my dream home. But she had a but, and the but was that the house was renting for $900 a month. She told her coach, there's no way that I can do it. Had Judy been on her own, that would have been the end of it. And to this day, she still might be living in that tiny one-bedroom apartment. Her coach, on the other hand, knew the language of success. She knew the mindset, the thoughts that were better, higher vibration thoughts, and the questions to ask, not the disempowering questions, but the empowering questions to ask. So the coach asked Judy this: if you did not know it was impossible and you really thought there was a chance that you could have that house, what would you do? At first, Judy just couldn't answer the question. It actually took her about a week before she thought of an idea. And this was her answer. She would write a letter to the owner and explain her situation. In her letter, Judy described 40 things that she would personally do to improve the home if the owner would provide the materials, if she could rent for $500 a month. 3 weeks later, she got a call from the homeowner, and he said, I don't know why I'm doing this, but something in your letter just won't leave me alone. Here's the deal. You sign a contract outlining what you will do every quarter, and I'll let you live in the house for 1 year for $500 a month. This is how dream building works. You take an action step. So Judy took an action step after she figured out what it was she wanted to do. She wrote the letter. Now, the homeowner had full $900 a month rent offers in. He had several of them, but he didn't take them. Remember earlier it said there was something about her letter that kept nagging at him? He started to participate in her dream. He came in. This is an opportunity. Remember, I said your awareness starts to show up circumstances and opportunities and situations to fulfill your dream. Well, here it is. And so they moved in 30 days. Judy got her dream home. Isn't that a wonderful story? And actually, the story does not end there. Over the course of the year, Judy did everything she promised the owner that she would do. And within 3 years, Judy owned that house. Her dream had come true, and she learned a new way of thinking thanks to her coach. That new way of brave thinking also got her a new career. Judy started her own home-based business, and she got to spend more time with her children while her income soared. Her life had a whole new meaning. What about you and your dreams? It starts with making a decision. It starts by saying to yourself, today is the day I'm going after my dream. I often tell myself, I'm doing this thing. When doubt starts to creep up, I'm like, no, I'm doing this dream. There are things in my vision that I'm persevering for. I'm doing it. Not letting the doubts and the reasons why it won't work overtake me. I'm shifting my mindset. I'm shifting my thoughts. And the first thing to do is to say yes. Yes to possibilities. Yes to support. Yes to new ideas. We decide for new results. Okay, the next screen, I'm just going to ask you to read it. I love this slide because every time I read it, I can read it like it's typed normally, which fascinates me all the time. Now, I want you to grasp a concept from this exercise. So We know the beginning letter of the word, we know the ending letter of the word, but in the middle, it's jumbled up and makes things unknown. But it doesn't matter. We can still read the word. I mean, most people can still read the word. Now let's relate this to our dream. We know the beginning point because it's right where we are at, right here, right now. Now, the ending point is that vision that you just wrote out. So you know where you want to get to. And in the middle, it's unknown. It's, it's vague. It doesn't matter. The how will reveal itself as we go along. When you take an action step, you're in a different position. And so you see different things. You see different options. You see different opportunities. This is how dream building works. No new process can begin and no new path can be forged until a decision has been made. So, yes, making a decision, letting the hows fall off to the side, and know and trust that they will reveal themselves on the way to your dream. So we're deciding for new results. We know where we're at now. We know what we would love because we visioned it up. And then the middle is the how. So we're going to put a strike through the how and just set it off to the side. And this brings us to principle number 3. This is befriending your fear. We all know when we venture out into new territory, fear rises up. It's just the way it happens. But what I'm saying about befriending your fear is doing the thing you really want to do, even when fear rises up. Judy probably had a lot of fear writing that letter, thinking certain thoughts. Oh, he's going to throw it in the garbage. He's not going to go for this idea. She had fears about how it wouldn't work out, but she befriended the fear. She just looked at him, probably had some really good coaching by her coach saying, yes, we recognize the fear is there. We set it off to the side and you do the action step anyway. She wrote the letter anyway. So the goal here is to make fear your friend. Don't try and fight it down and beat the fear out of yourself. No, just recognize that it's there and say, oh, I hear you, fear. I feel you, fear. You could do the breathing exercise I taught you and change the way you're thinking about the fear, and it will dissipate. Now, there are some phrases that might come up from your patterns, and here we go. Yeah, right. That isn't going to happen. Fear really can bring up some thoughts that will stop us and prevent us from moving forward. Another thought might be, how are you ever going to do that? Where will you find the time? And I think you can see and hear in my tone of voice, I have an attitude because this question of how are you ever going to do that? It's a very critical voice. So these are some nasty thoughts that come up in our mind. And where are you ever going to get the money? So a lot of these thoughts are coming from your paradigms, or we can say our patterns. Paradigms are just our patterns and our beliefs that are all intertwined. So that's where these nasty voices come from. So in the coaching that I do, we really go in, find the wound where you have embedded this thought of how are you ever going to do that? You're just too hard on yourself. And so you start to heal the wound and it dissolves the pattern. So when you step forward, that thought of how are you ever going to do that doesn't come up because the pattern isn't there anymore. It makes life so much easier. You don't have to fight through all the thoughts day after day after day. No, because you're dissolving the pattern and the thoughts aren't even there anymore because they were linked up with your patterns. The beliefs and the thoughts link up with the patterns to create paradigms, and paradigms keep you stuck. Now, there are some other common paradigms that I have seen, and I just want to talk about several of them. You might hear these words, now it's just not a good time. I'm just going to wait till later. This is the paradigm of delay. I hear this over and over again. I have another business where I help people with their health, and they think, oh, I'm just going to wait till after my daughter gets married, and then I'll try what you've got done. And so they're putting it off. It's a pattern of delay. So start to pay attention. Do you have thoughts of delay? The next pattern I see a lot is you're saying to yourself in a shaming way, you don't have the money for that. That is so irresponsible. You're just berating yourself. This is the pattern of shame. Shame is the lowest vibrating emotion that we can experience, and we do not want to have any shame trapped within us. And so the compassion key really gets in there and dissolves our shame and gets rid of this ridiculous pattern of berating yourself. Because when we feel shame, we think there's something wrong with us. And there isn't really anything wrong with us. We've just got it twisted up in our mind that we are the bad thing. And it's basically probably something bad that happened to you, and that was the bad thing. You're not the bad thing. So definitely we clear that out. Now, the last pattern is when you don't feel like you're good enough. And this can have lots of different phrases that might come up. Who are you to have that dream? You don't have the experience or the credentials to do that. So you just don't feel like you're good enough to have the dream. Yes, you are good enough, but the pattern is getting in the way and keeping you from what you would love. And we don't want to have that in the way. No, we get rid of that and we make getting to the dream easier. There's a part of us that just really wants to go for the dream. You get fired up and you got this mini vision now written out, and you're like, I'm going to do this thing. And then all of a sudden, you have this thought, what if I fail? Well, how many of you have had failures in your life? I've had failures in my life. I've failed in marriage twice. I have 2 divorces. My love, what I would love is to be married, and to be married till the day I die. I want to have the love of my life. I want to choose the right man for me. And so I'm not going to let 2 divorces get in my way. I will have the marriage of my dreams. I'm doing this thing. Okay. Do you hear the determination there? But it's not that some days that, I go, well, when is it going to happen? I have to catch myself and notice what I'm noticing and put that off to the side and say, it's coming. It's my dream and I will have it. So if we're afraid of failing, we've all failed at walking. Remember, you probably, if you have a child, remember that when they wanted to get up and walk, they fell down a lot. And so we learn to walk by falling down. It's very odd and strange. And I really noticed this when I was teaching the kids. I was an associate, so I got to help teach with the 4-year-olds. They would make mistakes and I would encourage them, that's okay. You're just learning something new. Just do it again and you'll get better and better at it. And as I was encouraging them, I was actually reprogramming myself. I think a lot of us, when we get to adulthood, we think we should have it all figured out and that we can never make a mistake. It's that perfectionism piece. It's not granting ourselves the option to have a mistake. And then when we have a mistake, we berate ourselves for it. We really need to just be gentle with ourselves and say, oh, you know what, that didn't really work out. That was a mistake. Let me shift gears and go in this direction. Just be gentle with yourself, because we've all had failures. When we venture out to do new things, we are going to have a failure or two or three or however many it takes. It doesn't matter. We're just going to keep getting back up and moving towards our dream. So there are a lot of famous people that, had challenges and failures. And so we're no different. Fear and failure can be prerequisites for achieving great dreams. So key number 3 is befriending our fear. Parts of you want to go forward, and parts of you want to stay where you are. Some people call it playing small. And in the middle, what do we have? We have fear. Fear rises up. Don't get mad at yourself that your fear is coming up, because it will come up when we're doing something new. But we don't want to let it paralyze us. We want to, use our breathing that we've learned and use new thoughts and just say, you know what, fear, I see you. And one technique that Mary Morrissey taught all of us is to say to fear, you know what, I see you, fear. I am going to check in with you in 3 days. So you put it on your calendar, 3 days down the road, you write down, check in with my fear. And so when the fear rises up, you say, oh, I see you. You remember, I'm checking in with you on Tuesday or whatever day it is. So by the time Tuesday comes along, be sure you check in with the fear. Is it still there? Did you even forget about it and Tuesday went by and you didn't even, because your fear was gone? But this is a way to put fear off to the side. You're not denying that it's there, because it is there. It's just a way of handling the fear when it rises up. You just say, not today, fear, because you want to get to the point where you take the action step, even though you're a little bit fearful or a lot fearful. Now, fear has 2 companions. They are doubt and worry. We will do the same thing with them. Put them off to the side. If you have to, make an appointment with them too. And with your thinking, focus on your dream. You can get your vision statement out and read it over and just get your thinking into where you're going and draw it away from the fear, doubt, and worry. We want to focus on what we want. If you remember the law of attraction that was so popular years ago, it is a definite law. And when you start focusing on your fear, you're going to attract more situations to be fearful about. We don't want to do that. We want to focus on the vision and how it feels to be in the vision. Are you feeling so pleased? Are you feeling so grateful? Are you feeling so much joy? Get into that, because when you're vibrating those emotions, you will attract more experiences that are joyful and happy and content. Okay, so remember that. Get yourself out of the detrimental emotions and move yourself into the emotions where you feel better. Now, there is another thing I'm going to ask of you today, and that is to take action. I'm going to invite you to write down one action step you can take that will get you closer to your dream. So take about 10 or 15 seconds and write down that action step. Okay, now next, put that action step in your calendar. Wherever your calendar is, let's write it in or type it in, however you do that, and get it on your calendar, because this is a promise to yourself that, yes, I'm going to take that action step. Now, if you weren't able to think of an action step in this time allotted, I encourage you to write down an action step by the end of the day. All right, just recapping the 3 keys to mastering your results: designing your dream, deciding for your dream, and befriending your fear. You are worthy of your dream and a life that you absolutely love. Yes, you are. And now, moving on to the gift. Yes, I set aside time each week for visioning sessions. These are Zoom calls, or we could do it over the phone as well, but Zoom is really nice because then you get to see me, I get to see you, we get to know each other a little bit better. And these last about 45 to 60 minutes. And I will take you through this visioning session where you get clear on exactly where you are and what you would love to create, and the next most important step. Now, this is a free visioning session. It's valued at $250, but I offer these for free so you can get a better sense of who I am. Is this program right for me? And so if this is something that you want to do, you can send me an email. I will put my email in the description box underneath this video on YouTube. All right, I am going to stop sharing my screen. Wonderful. Remember, as you walk back into your life, know that what is inside of you is far greater than any challenge that you are facing. You have incredible power within you. This is your moment. Today is your day to take bold action and know that I believe you can. I didn't come this far to only come this far, did you? If life is still breathing you, life is not done with you yet, because something magnificent is happening with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you.